Welcome back to the Aftermatch with Kirsten Beeve. Come for the rugby, stay for the Aftermatch. Pleasure to have you back with us. Yeah, Beeve's had a little bit of a break from the potty. 7 days.
I was going to say, what's the break you talk about?
7 days.
I've been engaged. Not like that, but
yeah,
no,
you
like
got something to tell us.
No, engaged with all things potty. I don't know what you're talking about.
You can't drop news like that, Beeve, on Bledisloe Week.
Oh, not on
You'll
Bledisloe
overshadow the news.
Yes, no, of course you had the great Charleston.
We had Charles, and thank you for everyone that watched those podcasts as well. The numbers went through the roof. So clearly people are screaming out for Black Ferns content. Shame our ladies couldn't do it on the weekend, but man, Canada were good. They were so good. And we'll try and do another podcast later in the week reviewing that and talking about that third and fourth place playoff match that no one wants to play.
No, it was probably the most attractive podcast you've had for all 30 episodes so far.
It was actually.
Yeah.
That's exactly the
Is that what they
feedback that was
say?
coming
Yeah.
through. They were like, you know what? We could do without seeing Beeve every week on our
Jeez,
screens.
it looks better these days.
People actually watch the video version. Most listen to Spotify otherwise. The voice for radio over here. But Beeve, it is Bledisloe Week.
Yes.
And the reason why this is so exciting is because it's actually going to be competitive for the first time since about the year 2000.
Oh, it's game on.
I joke,
You
but
joke.
like seriously, 25 years, or
Yes.
how many years has it been? It's been a long time.
Since they've held it.
Yes.
And of course, since it went to a two-a-year series where obviously the challenger, which has been Australia for the last 20 years, had to win two.
Yeah.
Which is tough. It's really tough. I mean, to say it's and just being competitive is an exaggeration because I know all too well about what it's like to lose a game against the Wallabies and what have you. They've had their moments and teams over the years, but to win back-to-back, which they are going to have to do again this year, they're going to have to win in Perth, which I'm sure they'll be confident about, but before that, they have to go and break the hoodoo, the 52 games.
This is the one that was the banana skin for me. It wasn't South Africa.
Was
it was
it?
the Wallabies. I said it. That streak will be broken when we're least expecting it. And I feel like right now we still don't give the Wallabies a chance because we're like, it's Eden Park. We don't lose at Eden Park.
I think
but when we're least expecting it, something will happen.
I think as a rugby public, we're still getting over the South African 2 weeks. I think we're getting over the fact that, yep, the streak's still alive, and then the Wellington curse again. So I think we just haven't built up yet. I think come Saturday afternoon.
Well, you don't like peaking too early. You notoriously say don't play a test too early. So we're not actually allowed to play the test on a Monday.
Not here. Not here on the
not
Aftermatch.
on the Aftermatch. But look, we've forgotten about South Africa. We're going to put it to one side. Before we talk the hoodoo, let's talk Bledisloe moments. Iconic Bledisloe moments. You've had a couple. Well, you've been a part of more than a couple. But for you,
Good and bad.
what are the good moments that stand out around the Bledisloe? Like, how good does that thing taste to drink out of, first of all?
Well, it's not the easiest drinking vessel because it's an old trophy. You know, and there's a few dings in it.
Yeah.
So to get a perfect flow from the top of it, because, I mean, it probably stands half a metre high. And when you're starting to get a good flow from it, you're not sure if it's going to hit your mouth or not. So you got to have a wide open mouth to
It would be
catch
about
anything.
this wide, the way that it's flooding out into you.
Yeah, just for people on Spotify, Kurt's is saying about 30 centimetres. It's a wide old channel to come in. And because there's a few dings, the flow's not even. So it is a beautiful thing to be able to do. Obviously, as a kid growing up, you saw the iconic images of your All Black heroes. One of my favourite nights with him was...
Do you call him Lord Bledisloe or just him?
Just him, I guess. Was sitting back in the glorious, glamorous Holiday Inn in Parramatta because we used to stay out there the night before when we were playing at Homebush. And me and Ma had ended up being the midfield, an unlikely duo, finishing off the game in Sydney one year. And I think myself, him, Rodders, the great Rodney Soyalo, and I think Kevy might have been with us. Just the four of us sitting there in the Holiday Inn team room. Iconic. Yeah, if you haven't stayed at the Holiday Inn in Parramatta, you haven't lived. And we just hung out there until the early morning trip back, just drinking out of the Bledisloe, eyeing up when that McDonald's across the road, of course, was going to open. But that was one of my favourite nights, just sitting there, chipping away on it. It was special.
When was the first time you won the Bledisloe? And like, are there traditions around it, like the youngest or the person who wins it for the first time, who fills it up?
Well, there's a filling up responsibility. The first time I would have been a part of anything was 2008. It ended up being a double-edged sword to win the Tri-Nations and win the Bledisloe for both teams was at Suncorp in Brisbane, my first year being an All Black, and it was a special night because we came from about 10 or so down, and it was funny because I was obviously on the bench behind DC, and with 30 minutes to go, we're down by a bit, and they said, "Oh, Beaver, warm up." I was like, "Oof, big call. Who's made that one? Are you sure, Ted?" And then he starts to put up the cards, and they're taking Ma off, and then I really look back. I said, "How's this going to work?" But went out there and we got the job done, and it was a great occasion. We, as we said, we got the win. But the thing for me, I hadn't even thought about playing that much that week because I'd been on music committee all campaign of the Tri Nations.
Oh, Johnny Farnham, was it?
Well, no, Johnny is just speaking of Johnny our forward carried us. It was me and him on the music committee, and I'd done nothing. And Johnny said, "No, I'm sick of this. You are in charge of the party on Saturday night back at the hotel in Brisbane." So I'd spent all week stressing about getting all these sort of what do you used to call them? The plug-in things that hold all the music. iPods, but the iPods and the storage units for data.
Oh, like a drive.
Yeah, like a drive. Yeah,
so hard drive.
A hard drive. Yeah, that's what they're called. And I'm plugging them into my laptop, and I'm cutting and pasting.
Oh,
and bringing
geez,
this
if
one.
anyone knows people technology.
Well, I'm getting the great
nightmare.
One of the absolute champions was our analysis guy, Alistair, and I know he had work to do around getting clips for Ted, but I said, "Mate, I'm going to need you for a couple of hours." So he spent a lot of time in my hotel room and
sorting your drives
sorting
out.
my drives out, sorting my music out. So I organised about 8 or 9 hours, and I'm glad I organised 8 or 9 hours because it was a good party because we did win. And I guess the shining light for any music committee organiser is when I think it was Richie might have come over or Ted, one of the hierarchy came over and said, "Just roll that again, will you?" And so just the biggest seal of approval.
What kind of music was it? Do you have to give a bit of everything for every agenda, every person?
Nah, my genres are pretty narrow. It's old school rock.
It's Hodaki.
It's Hauraki and the rock all combined. And I think I might have actually sent out an SOS to the rock boys to give me their Rock 1000 and see if I could download that into the hard drives. But no, that was another cool night and a cool time to be a part of it all. And yeah, getting to drink out it is special. Of course, there's been a few other moments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
09?
No, one of the other moments for me was 2010. James O'Connor and some kick from the sideline and some kick that didn't go out. And I don't know.
What happened?
Look, dusty old night there in Hong Kong. We shouldn't play test matches in Hong Kong.
No. Why?
No, well, from a personal point of view.
Why would we bother? Why would we go there?
Exactly. But that actually leads us into this week's Blackmagic moments. And, of course, your chance to win our Blackmagic prize packs.
Who was our winner on the weekend?
Handle at Max_D235.
We've got prize packs to send out to you, Max. So make sure you vote away because we'll pick a winner for our awesome Blackmagic tackle prize packs every single week. What are our iconic Bledisloe moments for people to cast their vote on? Cast your votes in the comments or on the post that we put up later today.
Well, talk about Blackmagic. This was nothing short of Blackmagic, and it was, of course, the game that they call the greatest game of all time. I think the first ever rugby game at the then 100,000-seater Olympic Park in Sydney, and it's the moment that Jonah tiptoes down the sideline to win it on the hooter. If my memory serves me right, I think we got out by about 30, and then they came right back, and then Jonah had to seal it on the death. So that's one moment for a vote. And, of course, the other vote can be cast to the John Eales conversion at the Cake Tin. I was a child, I can't forget the moment, can't remember quite how old I was, but just seeing this 6'6" incredible rugby player who does all his forward work, the great lock he was, to then just brush all that aside and put over a pressure kick. I think I was only sort of 15 in, 20 out, but to be able to do that under that pressure, as I say, for a lock curse, that is our another Blackmagic iconic moment this week for you guys to vote and win the Blackmagic prize pack.
John Eales or Jonah Lomu. Comment below and make sure while you're there you like and subscribe to our podcast. We appreciate every single one of you, whether you're watching Beaver's Face on YouTube or listening to him on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcast from. So, Bledisloe this week then,
Yes.
First of all, it's wide open. As we know, every team in this competition has 2 wins. So how does this weekend play out? As an All Blacks fan, Obviously, you're predicting the All Blacks to win, but what will be the key things for the All Blacks at Eden Park? I think they'll probably have some different players come in. Cam Roigard maybe for one.
Oh, Cam Roigard, I'd say straight back in there. Obviously, he's
news.
Great news. He had half an hour at Pukekohe Stadium. Looked like Cam Roigard. You don't need to fluff around with minutes and return to play protocols with this guy. He's one of our absolute superstars. He gets straight back in. I think it's going to be the fastest up-tempo game you're going to see all year as far as Test match rugby goes. These are two teams that all year have shown that their style and their way of playing things is going to be all about using the ball and trying to play fast. So therefore, I guess you've got to try and negate the opposition from being able to do that.
So what do you do if you're the All Blacks?
Well, for the All Blacks, I think you've got to go after the forward pack of Australia, and that's not being any disrespectful to Australian forward pack. They've been mildly impressive this year. They've taken on the Lions and Springboks and done very well there. But if you're trying to slow their ball down, you got to slow it down at source, which means, you got to try and compete at line out time, disrupt scrum ball, but it's that ruck speed. So you've got to try and slow it down. They are, and that's easier said than done, because with McRae, Wilson, they've got a very mobile, loose forward trio who are very quick to get to breakdown. So do the All Blacks recognise that and maybe potentially pick a team accordingly? And by pick a team accordingly to that, obviously the loose forward trio mix will be fascinating. Do they go again with a Parker at 6 after they've had Va'i there, where they've certainly been showing their hand at having big number 6s? Or do you go back to a Duplessis Karifi, who we know is a genuine fetcher, low body height, to try and disrupt the ruck speed of Australia? That would mean obviously Artie goes back to 8, probably Wallace to 6, and that's a different makeup. So that'll be an interesting thing to look forward to this Thursday, because I think that'll tell us a lot of what the All Blacks would be thinking, Kirst.
So not necessarily the number one side. You're picking a team based on what's coming from Australia.
I think you've got to. I think you've got to consider it. We're talking about 2 daytime games of rugby. Perth, we know, is going to be like playing on a cricket pitch. And as long as it's not raining, then 5 o'clock at Eden Park on Saturday is going to be, it is going to be a freewheeling game. And people say, what's the difference? It's daytime rugby and nighttime rugby, especially in this country, are poles apart. Like, just the ball in your hand feels differently. So if the ball feels good in your hand, feels dry in your hand, you can zing your passes, which means it's a quicker speed. They are not. It's not the same thing. Nighttime and daytime rugby are different. And I also think subconsciously there's a freedom when you play it in the daytime, like compared to nighttime, where it just feels a little bit tighter, a lot more combative. And couple that with the fact that we're not playing South Africa. And there's no hiding from that. South Africa play a different brand of football and are more physical. They're bigger men. So I just really think that this game is going to be so fast that you've got to pick a team that's going to be able to play it, because that's going to be the Wallabies go this weekend.
So if you're talking pace and freedom, it sounds like this is the ultimate game for Will Jordan and Damian McKenzie.
Yeah, well, exactly. Two guys that really come into play there. I think they're going to be big factors, both of them. Do you keep Damien at 15, or do you roll the dice and put him at 10, then put Bodie on the bench, who we continually are hearing that our bench is no good at the moment? Or do you put quick fixes, you put the greatest bench player of all time to come on from there for half an hour at the end of it and turn things around if it needs to be turned? So that's another quandary, I guess, for the All Black coaches.
Is this a game for guys like Leroy Carter or Ruben Love?
Yeah, well, it's an interesting thing, the Leroy Carter aspect. Obviously, we hear it, the Aftermatch footy is our best player in Wellington. I thought he did a wonderful debut. I mean, I was on some other show yesterday and I didn't pick Leroy, apologies. But I think
you forgot about him.
I forgot about him.
You forgot about our player of the match
from
Wellington.
I was a bit rushed, sorry, Leroy. Caleb Clark, I watched in the weekend.
Yeah.
I thought he looked sharp, powerful, big. I'd like to see him included somewhere too. But Leroy Carter will have to be considered. Have to be.
There were a lot of All Blacks released to play in the NPC. Do you read anything from those? Some obviously needed game time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you read it two ways.
Are they playing or not playing?
If you're released, you're probably not playing unless you come into the category of game time.
Yeah.
And so who needs game time? Out of those ones, obviously, Roygaard.
Yes.
Yes, of course. Caleb Clark needed probably game time. Rico probably needed game time. Hasn't played for a while. Jacobson, so, and then you start to think, well, who's going to be considered, who's not? Of course, I don't know if you saw Sammy Penny-Finau. He was in a sling at the end of the Waikato game, so it might be a bit of an issue there, but no, it's going to be interesting. I think you've got to pick a team accordingly, and and it's the next 2 weeks because, as I said, this is going to be fast. These 2 games.
Okay, so you talked about this incredible loose trio from the Wallabies. They've got players missing, don't they? No Rob Valentini this week. No Will Skelton, who was so good against the Lions, of course. How do they play it? They've got superstars, no doubt. But how do the Wallabies play it when they are coming to a place that they haven't won at in how many years?
They have to start well. If they start poorly and the All Blacks get an early try or start to get some scoreboard pressure, get 3 penalties.
The Wallabies have been starting crap.
So what I'm saying,
coming back in part 2.
What I'm saying, Kirst, is if the All Blacks start hot,
if
they get a start similar to they did against the Box at Eden Park, those demons you're talking about, which a lot of these guys would be unaffected by historically. There's a lot of new faces in there, but you'd have to start to think that sort of mindset might just start to creep in. The thing is, these guys have just developed so much. It's a lot of similar faces, but they've developed so much with time and the trajectory that they're on, the confidence, I guess, Joe Schmidt's put into them. But I don't think there's any hiding from the fact Skelton and Big Bobby V, massive blows. 1 would have been a bit of a blow. 2 is huge because when they weren't there against the Lions roughhoused them. They bullied them in Brisbane. Without those guys, they're like the enforcers of those boys. And, of course, there was no Tupou either. And they offered a bit of an enforcer, a bit of a stand-up to the Lions boys. As soon as they come back in, different team. They weren't getting dominated around the edges. Like the Lions forwards in that first test against in Brisbane were just rolling through them around the edges, both with and without the ball, where as soon as these 2 were involved, that wasn't happening. Hooper has been really, really impressive at 6, but that's when Big Skelton's been there and stuff. So I think they will be missed. Those 2, I don't think you can underestimate just how much impact they've had for the Wallabies up front. But where they've got to, I think, is they do play a brand of footy that is going to be high tempo, high speed, and also the other big question mark, Kirst, is who's the 10 going to be?
Well, it has to be Liner, doesn't it?
If Liner's fit, he plays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And O'Connor comes off the bench.
And O'Connor's there off the bench.
Yeah. And you think that the World Player of the Year in 2025, Joseph Soili'i, Mr. Louis Vuitton, he's the new Dan Carter of rugby, let's be honest. I'm not sure why you weren't quite the pin-up boy in all your years.
No. Israel Dag, he's shown me some of his little handbags that he takes.
Yeah, but he wasn't an ambassador.
He's not an ambassador. He bought those, did he?
I believe so.
Oof,
I believe so. Head to toe.
Is that what you call them? You know those bags that Izzy takes on the plane with him?
What do you call them?
Is it a handbag? If a man has them, is it a handbag?
It's a man bag.
Oh, it's a man bag.
Yeah, and I think your good friend Mills Muliaina also rocks a man bag. Not a Louis Vuitton satchel. Or maybe they're a satchel.
Yes.
Do you know what a satchel is?
Is that what your computer lives in? No?
Oh, what kind of bag do you rock up to the? You've still got team issue Canterbury bag CCC from when you were playing for counties about 40 years ago.
Adidas with SD on it. That's my airport bag.
What happens when all of these run out?
Sad day.
Or they never run out. Have you got enough supplies to last a lifetime?
I've got a few still in the attic.
One day the Louis Vuitton satchel may come out, but for now that is Joseph Soili'i.
Of course, if there's a sponsorship from Louis Vuitton of the Aftermatch.
Oh, you're keen.
Have they got into podcast yet?
Here is the opportunity.
Yeah,
Here
we're
is
gonna
the
have it sitting
opportunity.
right there. Obviously, not blocking out Blackmagic tackle, of course, but
Exactly.
yeah, we've got room for you, Louis.
But you think Joseph Soili'i?
I guess each game is such a step for him because coming from obviously school to then league to then straight into the international arena, every time he gets to play, he's probably learning things. So they always say centre is the most difficult position to defend in, and like it is, because you're counting numbers from the outside. You're also you're counting numbers from the outside, but you've got guys defending on the inside, if that makes sense, and they're looking after the inside, and you're pulling them out to link with you. And you got a winger who's freaking out about what's outside him because between you and the winger, you've got to defend that, and you've got guys coming from the blind side. So therefore, so much goes on. So with every game he's out there, he'll be learning. But I still think that the All Blacks, they will throw some traffic there.
Lucky you were never 13, Beef. You would have been a scatterbrain all over the
I was
place trying to work.
Yeah, had my hands,
where
my
all
fingers.
these numbers and players are coming from.
Where's he coming from?
What about the mental demons, though, of Eden Park,
Yep.
the All Blacks, and the Bledisloe Cup? Like, this is the triple whammy and really the rugby championship. This is all encompassing here for the Wallabies, even though they have been on such a great trajectory. You talk about the mental demons when teams go down to Christchurch, and you said, I think about the Brumbies or the Reds, get them a shrink.
Yeah.
Get them a shrink in camp this week. What does that look like for the Wallabies this week? And who is it that they want to look around the dressing room and say, they're here, we'll be okay?
Well, straight away you think the man we've been talking about, Joseph Suaalii, you would imagine brings an aura of confidence to them.
Imagine if he won the Bledisloe in his first attempt.
Well,
imagine.
He's the one with the least amount of scars, the least amount of damage, and you would imagine that he's one that they look across to. I think Harry Wilson's an incredible captain now, but you've got to remember this is a generation who've come over more often than not and lost Super Rugby games, have lost to the All Blacks, obviously in New Zealand constantly. They've picked up. Have they picked up the odd one? They've picked up the odd one here and there in Australia, but it is a team that, by and large, has not got used to beating those guys across the field from them, and I don't think you can hide from that. And they've got to break through that. And I mean, yes, they shouldn't. It shouldn't be an issue for them. They've beaten the Lions this year. They've beaten the Springboks in Johannesburg. But you still just wonder if there is that little hold over them. And that's the thing more than anything. You've got to beat them because, let's be honest, we were both in Hamilton this year. And before the game, the Brumbies were coming over in great form. But there was this niggly little thought that they actually believe they can come to Hamilton and win as the Brumbies. And they didn't. They got all those frailties were exposed and they just couldn't hang with them. And it's happened in other Aussie teams in the super competition. So when the acid goes on, will they be able to do it in New Zealand? I've got no doubt they'll be a different team in Perth, but this is the one where they'll have to get through those issues.
The All Blacks had a shrink in camp for a very long time, and I think they still do, Dr. Kerry Evans, but they had Gilbert and Oka
Gilbert
forever.
was there for
what
years.
did he do?
Well, obviously, with shrinks inside an environment...
Is he even a shrink? I don't even know
No,
if he
they're
is.
called something else, but everyone knows what you mean when you call them a shrink.
A psychiatrist or psychologist?
I think they're called sports mental skills coach.
Oh, is that what they are?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think just trying to downplay the fact that you're off to see the shrink. But, essentially you can, when you're in those environments, you can go have your one-on-one sessions with them. And, they're often good once you get your head around it, that we're sitting on the couch. And you just getting, I guess, coping mechanisms for situations, i.e. I've just stuffed up. How do I flush that, not carry it around for me with 70 minutes?
So you've never been to see the shrink?
No, I'm still carrying it around. I've got a lot of baggage out the back here. But, they help you deal with that, with, a next job focus, being able to flush things, and then also with your preparation, how do you not be constantly thinking about it? How do you not let last week be on your mind this week? All those sorts of things. And then from a team point of view, they have the ability to, I guess, set up the week. Like, what's the mentality for the week? What are we driving, as they say, the messages? Like, what's the language you want to be using all week? And I guess just laying that out for the team. And the other thing that I guess Gilbert did towards the end, which was great for us, I thought, was incorporate a plan B. Like, what if this isn't going to work out for you? And I guess for a long time, that the plan B in a rugby team or any sports teams probably gets paid lip service, But I think that's where they probably earn their buck.
So they're actually quite busy. They actually they're a big part of a team.
Yeah,
these days.
Yeah, and I think they're a wonderful resource. Like, when they first come into the scene, you're like, I'm not doing that. But I think once you get used to it, you got to use them. They're great. They're great sounding boards because they're also not a coach. Because, I mean, you don't want to go to the coach and say, I'm still thinking about last week's butchered kick. Well, you won't play, will you? So it's quite nice to go to the mental skills guy and go, yeah, that kick, I've got a friend here. Imagine, how do I get rid of that?
That is us on the Aftermatch. As always, we're going to keep delivering. because that's what we do. So like and subscribe, and you'll get a notification for our second podcast this week. That was all Bledisloe related, but we're going to talk about the Rugby Championship. We may even talk about the prized Ranfurly Shield as well. And counties, Beavers team's going not too bad at the moment, nor are mine. They have plenty. I only have one. We'll see you soon.